Welcome back, everyone. All right, so let's just take another look at some of these equations in here. And what we can do is we can actually we can make this as complicated or as not complicated as we can. Now, again, there is a little bit of math involved, and I always find that the math involved within Excel is not too intense. It's definitely something you would see below university level, but for the most part, if you just go ahead and you type in sum, for example, this right here, you can go plus, and you can type in sum again, right? You can go sum this, right? And that will do is that will add the sum of both of those lines here, and we can go ahead and push enter, and you can see that works out here, which is actually quite neat. Now let's say, for example, we wanted to add 10 to this first row here. So I'm just double click on this here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 10 to this row here. And what I'll actually do is I'm actually just going to cut and paste this right here just so that we can see the equation a little bit better. All right. So you can see that here we have sum of this row plus the sum of this row. And what we'll do is I'll put it in here and I'll say plus 10. Now this doesn't necessarily affect the equation because it's addition here, but sometimes, and this is what I like to do whether I'm in Excel or I'm programming something, is I like to put this first part here all in brackets. Now some of you might say out there that that's an extraneous bracket, that we don't need that bracket, but sometimes it's important. So if I go ahead and do something like this, it does make a little bit more sense to do that. So if I just go, times 10, you can see that that does work a little bit better. Now we can do this as long as we want. We can do it as complicated as we want. So let's just go ahead and let's just delete everything. And I should point out that when you learn by doing stuff, especially with computers, it's a lot better than just sitting back and listening. So for example, if you want to do, let's say, 10 different equations, you're going to learn more than just, say, listening to me talk about it. So you can even pause the video right here and you can go and play around with it. But what you can also do is you can type in average, right? And type in average, and of course you see that that doesn't make any sense because we got equals average, right? And then we'll put the quote there. We'll do the average of this line, and then we'll go plus the sum of this line right here. Okay, and you can see here that I can mix and match as much as I want. I'll push enter, and there we go. That is what it is. Now, sometimes in Excel there are abbreviations, so I'll just go ahead and I'll delete this here, and you can see here we can type in ABS, right? Now, if you don't know what ABS is a function where it gives you the absolute value. So I'm going to give this a negative number here. I'm going to make this -1. Okay, and ABS just gives you the positive number of what that is. So I'll just say ABS of C2, and that's all it is. Now, you're probably wondering why that's important. Well, you sometimes use it in Excel, but most of the time I use this function is in application development. But sometimes what happens is that you end up doing an equation and it comes out to be a negative number, so you put in this ABS here. Now, what it doesn't say here, so if I type in A, right, you don't see the word absolute, but that is what the abbreviation, what ABS is supposed to be an abbreviation for. And what you'll see is a lot of times within Excel there are abbreviations, and sometimes they're not abbreviations. For example, if I type in the word average, right, you can see that there is an actual average, but in other environments you might just see AVG, right? So you need to just kind of figure out what works with Excel, and a little bit of trial and error is not a bad thing. So you can just type in average again, and we can go ahead and do that here. Right, and I'm just going to get rid of that negative number because that's we'll just get rid of that here. Okay, so we got you can see we have average here, and I can even go a little bit more intense with the brackets here. Now, if I put in a bracket at the beginning, you'll see that sometimes this will turn into red here. So these two brackets here, it's whenever you see something in red like this, especially with something to do with an equation or brackets, it means that there's an error. It means that I have to put that in there, just like that, right? And so if I go ahead and I type in 10, you can see that that's enclosed in there, and there we go. right? And of course, I didn't necessarily need that 10, but that those brackets are there. All right, and so that is how you can use math to your advantage in Excel. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.